Hi, guys. Happy Thursday, day 12. It's day 12. Hope you had a good day today. So today, we're going to be talking about energy enhancers for our 21-day consecration. We're really on day 12. Wow. Time flies. Time flies when you're having fun. Okay, so basically this is a continuation of yesterday's video, which was complain or take action. Wait, yes. And basically, like, how can you respond to how Yah is calling you to eat, or any other areas of your health? And so there are 10 things that you want to incorporate in your life, and they're called the 10 energy enhancers. Cleanliness, internally and externally, pure air, pure water, adequate sleep and rest, the ideal diet, which is Genesis 1:29, adequate sunshine and natural light, right temperatures, hey, regular exercise, emotional balance and freedom from addictions, and nurturing relationships. Okay. And I am going to go into depth with all of these, which is, I don't know. I'm happy. I'm in a good mood today. Not that I was not in a good mood other days, but I'm just in a good mood. Okay, so the first one, right? Cleanliness externally. Basically, keeping the body, like, keeping your body, your hair, your nails, clean, and your teeth brushed. Okay? It's important to clean ourselves. You know what's really sad? I actually just saw this video, and I think it was supposed to be like a funny video. I'm not even gonna lie. I did laugh, but it was disgusting. It was like a compilation, don't you call it? A compilation of videos about people not bathing. Like, literally, or not even washing their hands. And I don't know how many times I've actually been in restrooms and people will walk out of the stall and go straight out of the door. And in one of these videos, someone actually said that if someone else is in the bathroom, they'll just turn the water on like they're washing their hands and turn it right back off. Like, if you got that much energy to fake it, you might as well just wash your hands with soap and water. Like, I don't understand. I don't know if I ever will, but please wash your butt. Okay? Wash everything. Wash everything, please. Wash it all. Okay? You said exactly. And then also cleanliness internally, right? And that's basically keeping your body fluids and your tissue pure and free from toxic buildup by avoiding innervation and toxemia, and keeping your nerve energy high. So basically, innervation is energy draining habits. And I actually didn't even include that. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Because if I'm going to tell you what the energy enhancers are, I should probably tell you what the energy robbers are. So that would make sense. So, but yeah, so when I say innovation, I basically mean energy draining habits. Okay. Which are the energy robbers? Uncleanliness, both external on the level of bodily tissues and fluids, unclean air, impure water, inadequate rest and sleep, inadequate rest and sleep. I can't. Here we go. Bye. Bye bye. The SAD diet, which is the standard American diet, inadequate sunshine and natural light, abnormal temperatures, lack of regular exercise, emotional imbalance, and slavery to addictions with low self-esteem and a purposeless life without meaningful goals, and toxic relationships. So those are the energy robbers. So that's what I mean when I say innervation. Basically, toxemia is basically the condition associated um, with toxin substances in the blood. So, when people say, oh, I need a detox because they got all that crap in their body. Yeah, that's basically what it is. When your body gets to a state of disease, you're toxic. But there's a lot of things that tie into that. And and with the definition of nerve energy, it's not just like regular energy, like, oh, I'm eating my food and I got energy to get through the day. It's basically, that we're electrical beings, if you didn't know. Um, one way, one solid proof that we're electrical beings. Think about when you're in the hospital and they attach everything to you and you see the it's energy. We're electrical. It's all electricity. So it's the low grade electricity that's generated by the brain that supplies the muscular, nervous, and glandular tissues so that the body functions are operating the way that they're supposed to. Like they're operating functionally. And when I say functionally, I don't mean just working, but working the way that it was intended to work. Um, because I think sometimes when it comes to that word, people have a misunderstanding like, oh yeah, well, something is yes functioning. Is it functioning correctly or is it functioning in dysfunction? And a lot of people's bodies are functioning in dysfunction because they're still moving, but it's not in the way that Yah intended it to work. All right. Um, so yeah. The second one. So we got through cleanliness externally and internally. Pure air. Air is essential. All of these things are essential, but I'm going to say that it's essential. When the air is fresh and pure, it brings life to the body. When the air is filled with toxins and gases and chemicals, it's not good for us to breathe in. Basically, it's poisonous. It's pollution. And it robs us of our nerve energy. And it's interesting, right? Because when you go outside, you can literally look up at the sky and see all the chemtrails and all those toxins and things like that. It's those chemicals, like we're inhaling that, we're breathing that in. Is that going to stop me from going outside? No. And it shouldn't stop you either, to be honest with you. Um, but it's interesting because a lot of people, they'll complain about what's going on outdoors, not realizing that the air inside their home is more than likely more toxic than the air outside. And there's a few reasons. There's a few reasons for that. The one thing is humidity, and it looks beautiful. It does. It really does. Okay, so quick story. Um, I've noticed. I've actually I pay attention to the sky. So when I was living in Jersey, I was coming out of my car in Target, and I saw them. I saw the planes going back and forth. They were zooming across, and it's a straight. It starts as a straight line, but then it starts to spread out. And then I noticed as it was spreading out, the sky started getting like purplish and pinkish, and I'm like, "You mean to tell me this is like the chemical reaction in the sky?" And I'm like, wow. So when people are taking beautiful pictures of the purple pink sky, it's literally chemtrails. I'm just like, so yeah. Um, so okay, so the indoor air. I had the maintenance guy come to my house not too long ago, and we were just talking about because being able to open your windows and stuff like that. And for like for fresh air because my screens are not actual screens. Like they don't fit to the window all the way. So if I open my window, there's going to be gaps around it. It's just there for pretty. Like it's just there to make it look nice, I guess. Um but it's not actually like fit in the window. I don't know how to explain it. But I was like, why don't I put regular screens? Like, I don't understand. Like, if I open my window, bugs just gonna come in. So I'm gonna have to like actually like get one of those removable ones. Um, but we were talking about the humidity here in North Carolina, like especially like when it rains. And the guy, he was saying that he went to this other woman's house and she was having mold growth. The reason why she was having mold growth is because she had her windows wide open while it's very humid outside. So with that humidity coming in and her not having a dehumidifier, that moisture was just seeping into everything and just sitting and started to create mold. Mold is not good for your respiratory system. Like it's not good for your body. It's not good to breathe that in. Um so even when like so it's important that if your house is humid, like get a dehumidifier. And even like running the fan in the bathroom, keeping the door open so that way that moisture doesn't get stuck. And some people, not everyone even has a window in their bathroom to get that fresh air in to like dry it out. So pay attention to that. Also the chemicals that you used cleaning, it's not good that you're inhaling that. That gets in the air. Um, those little plug-in things that everyone loves to use because it makes their house smell so great. Yeah, that's killing you too. Well, I'm not gonna say killing you, but it it's leading people to death. We'll just say that. We'll just say it like that. Um, it's not good. Because actually look at what you're actually breathing in. Like actually take some time to look at the back of the box and read it and Google it. You may not want to, but Google it and you will see it messes with your hormones. It messes with your breathing. Like, and when one thing is off in your body operates as one. So it starts in one area and it's going to start slowly affecting everything else. Um, so yeah. Also, um, a lot of people don't they a lot of people don't spend enough time outdoors. So they spend more time in their house than being outside. So if the air in your home is not clean air, you're taking more of that in. So some ways that you can actually clean the air in your home is opening your windows. Obviously, be mindful if it's very humid outside, because then you get that fresh air circulating in. Diffusing essential oils. Make sure that they are good quality. I actually use DoTerra oils. If you need some, I got you. Get some plants that clean the air. For example, snake plants, they clean the air. Um, who else? I think it's a peace lily or there's another plant. You got to Google it. I don't know the exact plants, but I think it's the peace lily that it actually like consumes mold spores. But there are other plants that actually clean the air in your home, and then they provide, they give off oxygen. So there you go. It's a natural cycle. And then reducing your use of toxic chemicals and try to use more natural based products. It's a good thing too. It seems like we can't win with any of these products. This is true. It seems that way. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I was like, no, we may not be able to win, but if we're obedient to what Yah is calling us to do and eating the way he wants us to eat, or using whatever materials he wants us to use, whatever products he wants us, like, there are still steps that we can take. And the steps that we all take will look different based off of the access that we have to things. But if you're still striving and being intentional and being obedient to him with how he's calling you to eat, it's gonna work out. There's gonna be safety in your obedience. That's how I look at it. That's literally how I look at it because we can't get away from it. We still got to live here. We're still being here. But he's calling us to do this for a reason. So, because the thing is, if you ever notice, someone who takes care of their body doesn't mean that they're invincible. They can still get sick. Um, they can still get under the weather. But the thing is, they're not down as as long as somebody else who's not taking care of themselves. And then it's the whole understanding of sickness too, because even if it's like if somebody has a fever, a lot of times we freak out like, oh my gosh, I got a fever, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, the thing is our body is actually doing what it's supposed to do. The fever is actually fighting all the internal things that's going on. So it's like the body is operating the way it's supposed to. A lot of stuff we complain about and we don't realize is actually just natural and we just gotta roll with it. Number three is, oh, thank you. Peace lilies clean the air. See, I was right. Number three is pure water. A lot of people will fight over this. What kind of water should you drink? I tell you one thing, don't be drinking no tap water unless you got a filter in your house or connected to your house and your home. But distilled water is best. It cleanses the body because it doesn't have all the junk in it. Obviously it doesn't have the minerals in it, but if you are eating um majority of Yas foods, if you're consume a lot of fruit, you're eating other like fruits and veggies, but obviously fruit, that hydration, it's not going to matter if there's water in your minerals. It'll actually balance out because you're still getting the minerals that you need, if that makes sense. We know that there's spring water. The thing is, when the spring water is on the shelf, all the spring water is not like the same. It really isn't. I don't have a way to test my spring water, so I don't know which one is good, which one is not. But they are not the same. They're not. Um, some people have access to natural water springs. There's actually a website called findaspring.org, and you can actually find water springs in your area, and which I think is pretty cool. And they'll tell you like they'll like water test the water and make sure so you would know like that it's good to grab your water. I think some you have to pay for it and some are actually free. So, and speaking of a lot of store, like I know like Whole Foods and maybe some other health stores, they have water machines, which is reverse osmosis water, or they'll have like distilled water, so you can get water from there as well. But again, please don't be drinking no tap water. Like there's fluoride in there. And if you didn't know, fluoride was actually used on Hitler used fluoride on the Jews because it makes you a little delusional. It calcifies your pineal gland. It's poison. It's straight up poison. I remember when Poland Spring used to have fluoride. They used to sell some water with fluoride in it because I worked in childcare, and I remember some of the kids having those water bottles. And I look back at that and I'm like, yo, like it's wild. We know that the body is 72% water. Basically, we're mostly water, right? So you got to drink up. So be mindful of that. But fruit is your best bet. Like fruit is the best. Why? Because it has the minerals that we need. It has the electrolytes and the minerals in the water. Um, and that is what that's what fuels our body. Um, Number four, adequate rest, relaxation, and sleep. I feel like this is something a lot of people don't get enough of. We know when we actually sleep at night, it restores the body. It resets us. and it keeps our nerve energy high. And also, you can still rest and relax. It doesn't always mean you have to like go to sleep, but just resting throughout the day, and just taking moments to relax. That can look like, giving yourself some time in the morning before you go to work to actually like sit down and, you know, um, reading, praying, journaling, meditating on a word of Yah, like taking that time to just be present in the moment, that is relaxing. That is a way of resting. Um, being intentional about taking a break at work. I was just actually talking to a client today, and she was getting into the habit of eating her lunch at her desk and just working it, you just working through, and it's like, no, actually walk away from your desk, eat in another area, like take that time for yourself. Like literally. Um, having a good quiet time. The thing is like the more toxic you are inside, the more toxic your body is, the more sleep you're gonna need. The less toxic you are, the less sleep you will need, because you're gonna get recharged sooner. You're gonna have that energy, you're gonna have that life in you. So you're gonna have way more energy than the average person. Also, too, cat naps. Cat naps work for some people. Cat naps don't. But I think it depends. Um, because I know they say like sometimes, an hour can be too much. Maybe keep it short. Keep it only like 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Cat naps. I'm down for a good cat nap. I'm down. When I used to work in childcare, I used to take 20 minutes. Or sometimes I used to do 15 minutes too. But the thing is, it's like even if I didn't actually fall asleep, because there were times when I actually wasn't asleep. I was like partially there, but not really. But my body just was like in the deep. I don't know. I was just able to just like close my eyes and wait till I got to sleep, but I really wasn't. But it still just calmed me and just like relaxed me. But I was like really light because I was able to still be alert to everything or whatever. Yeah, I remember using the drink out of the hose as a kid too. Um, but yeah, but good when we get good rest, it enhances mental clarity and alertness. Because if you notice, if you're drowsy and you're tired, what happens? Your body's dragging, you can't think straight, your words start sludging. Um, yeah, you're basically just like a zombie. You're not able to function to get through the day. So, and just remember too, when you do get good rest, relaxation, and sleep, you're supplying the ideal conditions that your body needs to be filled back up. You gotta think about it, like all day long you're moving, you're pouring out, you're pouring out, you're pouring out, you're pouring out. What are you doing to fill yourself back up again so you can keep going? A lot of times we just pouring out, pouring out, pouring out, and then try to pour out some more and then can't figure out why you burnt out. You ain't got nothing like you ain't got nothing to use no more. That's why you burnt out. How you refilling yourself? So make time for rest, relaxation, and restoration. Okay. Number 5, the ideal diet. So, y'all know I'm plant based. Y'all know I advocate for Genesis 129. I do recognize that after the flood, Abba did allow the eating of meats. But there are a lot of people that's being led to not eat meat, and they're not being obedient to it. I do have some reasons why that is, as far as like people not being led to eat meat these days. Um, but the ideal diet, the very first diet that was for us, Genesis 1 and 29, Genesis 1:29. Fresh fruit, um, nuts, seeds, because all these things are plants, sprouted grains, and legumes. And obviously, you got to pair that with good emotional balance and rest. We'll get to the emotional balance part because we'll be getting into that. But and the thing is, it's not, even if you're not called to eat plant based, it's not saying you necessarily have to, but majority of what you're eating should be his foods. Like fruit is so hydrating to the body. And to be honest with you, when we actually, and then fruit, you don't have to cook it. You're not cooking fruit. You're eating it in its raw state, so you're gaining everything that you need from it. Because a lot of times when we cook these foods, like we're eating dead food. I'm not going to say all the time that's the case, but sometimes even to the state that we cook it. Like when we like barbecue and stuff, and you see it's like we like it a little charred and all of that, it's burnt. What nutrition are you getting from anything that's burnt? Like what happened if you burn us? If you burnt yourself? You'll be crisp, you'll be dead. There's gonna be a little piece of dead flesh. Nothing gonna have to flake off, and new living cells are gonna have to grow. Number 6, adequate sunshine and natural light. What time is it? Oh, 26 minutes. Okay. Adequate sunshine and natural light. That is another essential nutrient. Open the blinds in your house. Get that natural light in. Like, it feels like, I don't know, there's a difference. Some people just like to live in the darkness. I don't understand. I'm like, are y'all vampires or something? Or maybe they're just overstimulated by the light. I don't know. And if they are, that's not natural because there's probably some stuff going on while they're overstimulated by the light. But open your blinds, pull the curtains back, open your blinds, and let the natural light in. Take that time to sit outside and get that sunlight. Um, so vitamin D, when we actually sit outside, like your body starts to create vitamin D in the skin. And it's something interesting that I recently learned. Like I don't wear sunglasses anymore because it actually we take in the UV radiation like through our eyes, and that's another way that we receive the sunlight to produce vitamin D. And sunglasses hinders that process. Regular glasses hinders that process. Contacts hinder that process. So a lot of times when I do, sometimes I mean I still take a walk when I have my contacts on, but I try not to. Um, and if I do have my glasses on, I just take them off. And so that way, and I don't do no sun gazing or no weird stuff like that. You just do your regular thing. It's just that you're not having any restrictive barriers. You're not creating a restrictive barrier over your face, and that's what sunglasses does, or regular glasses. uh yeah, so even when it comes to sunbathing, I love to sunbathe. To be honest with you, I'm one of the people, I will sit outside all day in the sun, but that's not good. It's not. um because there's certain times of the day where the sun is actually very, very hot, and it can cause damage to your skin. Even when you look in certain like other, like in the islands or other countries and stuff, they'll actually wear long sleeves, but they'll wear very bright colors, so then that way they're it's reflecting the it's reflecting the sun, and it's not like you're wearing black and it's absorbing everything. But keep it to about like 20 minutes or so, and even think about the time of day that you're outside, because like before 10 a.m., it all depends on where you live too, but typically the average is around anywhere between 4, before 10 p.m., not 10 p.m., 10 a.m. The sun is not as strong, and then after like 3 p.m. But for me, where I'm at, The sun is like, I feel like it's the strongest anywhere between 12 or maybe 11 and 4 o'clock. And maybe that's because I get direct sunlight, and but that's gonna be hot. It can be hot. So um for me, I wouldn't do 3 o'clock. I mean, I'll still take a walk and stuff like that, but I would just be mindful how long I'm sitting there, if that makes sense. Because I do. I love the heat on my skin. I do. Um, so what does sunlight do? Because it helps with a lot of functions in the body. It assimilates, enables the body to assimilate calcium for the bone and cartilage tissue. It helps with the reproduction of red blood cells and avoids the development of anemia. And obviously, it's good that you stay in the sun because vitamin D is created in the skin. I'm going to expose your skin to the sun because vitamin D is created in the skin. And vitamin D is actually not a vitamin, it's a hormone. So, sunlight actually plays a huge role, even providing the body what it needs for just healing itself overall and like different things. And it's so interesting because I remember me and my cousin were talking about sunlight, and I remember she was telling me about how it actually helps like uh, speed up like your metabolism. It gets that going, and it actually helps you lose body fat. Look at everybody gonna be sunbathing. It helps with circulation, and it helps with oxygen getting carried in the blood. So that all helps with you detoxifying your body. So I know some people, they might actually like to um, tan, like artificially tan, like go sit in those little booth thingies. I don't even know, a tanning bed. That's what it's called. Go sit in a tanning bed, but just do it naturally. Just do it naturally, because you don't want that leathery skin. And sometimes it might seem like it's working all good now, but then your skin gonna be aging way faster than it's supposed to. All that artificial stuff will catch up with you. You can't see without your sorry, that's not funny. I my vision's blurry without my glasses too, but that ain't gonna stop me from not putting them on. That ain't gonna stop me. I'm walking on the trail or whatever. That's not gonna stop me. I'm not. I'll deal with the blur. I'm good. But that's just me. Um, and you don't gotta have them off for a long time either. Because if I'm walking, I at least be outside for at least an hour. So, you know. So there are oils that you can actually use because sunscreen is not good for you. First of all, the stuff that's in sunscreen is horrible as well. When it comes to um ingredients. But I do recognize that people do want to protect their skin, but literally oils, like Yah created everything that we needed. He created everything. And don't tell you what, the sunscreen, um, is coconut oil has a natural, oh yeah, yeah. You do want to watch the ingredients. But there are like there's a lot of, hold on, let me get my thought together. You can make your own sunscreen. It's literally like I think like 4 ingredients or something like that. But I use oil. Coconut oil has a SPF of like six, anywhere between 6 to 10. Raspberry oil has 30 to 50 SPF. So like if I go to the beach, I'll use raspberry oil or carrot oil as well because that's around like 40 SPF. Also, you can wear a hat, to protect your face. I did not know that avocado oil had a SPF of 15. I had I had no idea. I honestly thought us melanated people didn't need sunscreen. We could still burn. We could still burn. I actually burnt this summer. I burnt this summer. I was peeling. I first of all, I was red. I don't know. I could probably still. I don't know if y'all can see it. If you no, y'all can't. No, the camera's kind of taking it away. You really can't. You really can't see it. You really can't see it. I got two different complexions. It somebody told me I look like I was I look like I was light I used to be light skinned. I'm like I cannot. But I peeled. It was disgusting. It was like all on my shoulders and my chest and my upper back. It was so gross. I've never that was the first time I actually got burnt here in the United States. Because when I was 19, I went on a cruise and we was in the US Virgin Islands. Well, I guess that was technically United States. But um I was in the island, so and I burnt like my face was peeling and everything. And I didn't have no sunscreen. I didn't have no sunscreen on. But just natural oils. Just natural oil. And I guess that would make sense because I use body butter and avocado oil is in that. And then apparently wheat germ oil has an SPF of 20. I've never used wheat germ oil, so I can't testify to that, but maybe somebody else could, or you can do your research. And this is stuff like just don't just take my word for it, like do your own research, obviously, please do. Uh so number 7 is right temperatures. So obviously, our body temperature is like 98 to 99 degrees depending on the person and everything. And the cool thing about our body is that it just regulates our temperature for us. Like it ain't like we got to think about it or do anything about it. It's just like a subconscious thing. It does this thing. But you can actually create stress to the body when you go from one extreme temperature to another. So if you go from I don't know, like for example, there's the whole thing about ice doing the ice baths for anxiety or just different things to calm the body. I had to be honest with you, I have not done the research into that, but I've listened to some things, but I haven't really like read in depth. Um, but for some people it works, but for some people it don't, and you have to pay attention to how your body responds to it, if that makes sense. Like this weekend, I went to the mountains to waterfall, and when I tell you that water was cold, it was so cold. I thought it was going to be warmer because I went out there. I think it was around the falls. What was it? The spring, early spring or something. It was my birthday, so so it was like beginning of spring, and that water was freezing. So I'm thinking it's going to be warmer now. No, same temperature, ice cold. There was people all up in it, but I had my feet in there, and just putting our feet in was just like it was cold. Okay, but I noticed it did something. I felt like my feet were like lighter, like my feet felt different, and I was like, I want to go again before it gets cold, and I was like, I want to inch my way into that water. Like I really want to inch my way into that water just based off of how my feet felt. Even though the cold was uncomfortable, I think if I just ease my way into it, I would actually benefit from it. So you do have to pay attention to see how your body responds to things because it may not work the same for you as it does other people, or maybe just not right now because there are certain things that you may have an issue that they don't have. Like for example, I used to have raw food allergies. I could not eat raw peppers. I could not eat raw onions. I could not eat apples. What else I couldn't eat? Walnuts, pecans, like that stuff used to make me literally like puke. But it's good for me, right? But my body was so toxic that I could not receive what was good. So I just had to I just cooked it. I mean, it had to be cooked like all the way through. The walnuts and pecans, I had to like bake them because heat, it changed the chemistry of stuff. So I was fine. But you know, if I knowing that I could change my diet, like if I was to try to go raw plant based, then my body just would have been rejecting some of that. But you can always start with where you're at with what your body can handle. So there's always a starting place. And then over time my body was able to clean itself out. And I did use herbs and things like that along with the clean eating. And then now I'm good to eat everything. Now I got to get used to my mind though, because there's some stuff I'll eat, and then my brain is like, "Are you gonna have an allergic reaction? Oh my gosh, you're gonna puke." And then I'm like, "No, I'm safe." And I actually have to like remind myself, like, "No, we're safe. We're good. We can eat this apple, and we're not gonna get nauseous, and we're not gonna throw up." Like the mind. Sometimes it works too great for us. It really works to keep us safe. It really does. But I'm like, dang, like we good now. We good. All right. Uh Number 8, regular exercise. Uh Remember these 3 words: stretch, sweat, and strain. So, inactivity, like when someone's not an active person, meaning like they just live a sedentary life, it's not really good because your heart's not really pumping, like your circulation is going to be slow. Um, I don't know if you guys ever heard this. They say like when people retire, their problem is if they start sitting still, that's when their problems actually begin. So it's like when you retire, enjoy your life, but move. Like, you know what I mean? Um, because I think when it comes to exercise, everyone always like, oh, exercise, exercise, get your body moving. Yes, you're getting your blood flowing, it gets oxygen to your brain. It creates that clarity. But guess what? It actually creates a lot of patience. That's something that I've noticed. So I used to be a preschool teacher, and sometimes I used to get irritated because them kids, we had our days. I love my babies. I love my babies, but they would try me sometimes. Okay, they would try me a lot of the time. But I noticed when I worked out in the morning, I prefer to work out in the morning, beginning of my day, because it will calm me, it will relax me, and I would have more patience. Like stuff that they would do that would piss me off, I'll just be like, not to say that I didn't care, but it was just I was more present to recognize they doing what kids do, and then I had the patience to sit with them and work through something, and but the reason why that was is because it relieved stress off of me. It was a release. And so I'm like, I think that's the part that we don't really talk about, how exercise is actually a release of stress. I used to always hold a lot of tension in my shoulders. Like I used to be like this all the time. All the time. I used to drive in the car. I hold the steering wheel, and all of a sudden, my hand would start hurting. And I'm like, why my hand hurting? Because I would grip the steering wheel so tight. And I'm like, why? And then I would have to like let go and shake my hand out, like, why am I grabbing on the steering wheel like this? But it was stress. I was holding tension in my body. That was my body holding on to the stress. But I didn't have the knowledge and the understanding to even recognize that my body was going through that, because I did not really pay attention to how my body feels. We are so disconnected from our body. We're disconnected from our emotions. We're disconnected from our mind. Like we're disconnected from our creator. There's so much disconnect, and it all works together. And then the world don't make it better because they try to separate it like it's separate categories, and that's a lie. It's such a lie. Okay, so there are 3 types of exercise. There's stretching, there's aerobics, and there's weight training. Pick one. Get your body moving. Get your body moving. Okay. You don't know where to start? There's a gym. You don't want a gym membership? There's YouTube. You don't want to do YouTube? Throw some music on and have a dance party. Have a praise party. Okay. You can do some praise and worship and get a lot of exercise. I've done it. I've done it. I think we are really good at ignoring self. Yes, we are. But you know what it goes back to? It goes back to self worth. Ah, speaking of that, that's number 9. Emotional balance, freedom from addictions, high self esteem, purposeful life with meaningful goals. I think this is um the big bulk of it. And I feel like the last was it 2.5 years now? Maybe it's 2.5 years now. The part that I've been learning because I've did the, staying hydrated, making sure the air was clean in the home and eating right. But I was missing the emotional part. Um, I recognized that I did have a food addiction, but I didn't realize how deep that actually goes because of the spiritual connections and the spiritual component of it. And how that actually plays into the emotional part, the emotional balance as well. Um, I didn't realize that. I knew I had self esteem issues, but I thought because I was feeling more confident, I got a little better. But clearly, I was wrong. Um, and I didn't really know at the time what my purpose was. You know what I mean? And so I was still very much finding myself, if that makes sense. Like trying to figure out who Judy is, you know. And I'm still learning who Judy is because I'm shedding a lot of the old and coming into who Yah originally intended me to be. Um, but so yeah. So one thing with emotional balance, right? I've been learning how to sit with my emotions. I'm not allowing them to control me, but to sit with them and process through it and know that they serve a purpose. Um, because you'll hear a lot now regulating your emotions. But the thing is, there's so many of us where how can you regulate something that you've never even been taught how to feel? I went through years of not feeling. Yeah, like, and if I felt in secret, and then even then, I still didn't. I just knew I felt a certain way, but I didn't know how to say what is happening right now, what is going on, what do I need to address? Because that's the purpose of emotions. Emotions are like, hey, something's wrong here. Let's figure this out. But if we're not going to do that, guess what? Because when you figure it out, you release that, you let it go, you work through it. Otherwise, what happens? You're holding on to it and you suppress it and push it down. And it's still there. And when it starts to build up, it's gonna vomit. It's gonna vomit and come out, and you ain't gonna know what it's gonna do. So yeah, so Abba is taking some of us back to the basics. He's taking us back to the beginning of understanding what emotions are and not feeling bad about having them and feeling them. Now, obviously, we know we can't let emotions rule us, but you have to understand sometimes you got to go back to that beginning. So think about it as a child. With me being in childcare, I understand that children are going to throw tantrums because they don't know how to speak. They don't know how to express themselves. So they act out due to frustration. Now think about this. When they fall out or they jump up and down, that's their body getting overwhelmed. They got to release that tension. That's why they fall out like that. That's why some people I don't know, they tell you get it like a stress ball because you need to get that out. And sometimes you may be at work and you about pissed off and you feel like punching somebody in the face, and the stress ball is going to help you get that out versus actually punching somebody in the face. Or you can't be like, oh, let me just bust out in some jumping jacks. Well, you got an office, you could do that. You know what I mean? But it's getting that, releasing that, which kind of goes back to the exercise. Anyway, um But yeah, so when it comes to emotional balance, it's tough when you allow yourself um to walk through the fear of whatever that thing may be, right? Because it can take you to a state of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And all those things are stress to the body. But if you don't work through it or address it, it'll create a toxic environment internally. Um, so fight is facing the perceived threat. Whatever you feel like is a threat, you ready to go charge at that thing. Basically, that's a response to fear. Flight, running away from danger. Some people like, oh, nope, not doing it, and then run the other way. Then there's people that freeze, where they kind of just get stuck and they don't have no idea what to do, and they're unable to move or even do anything against the threat that is coming against them. I remember when a few years ago, I don't know how old, maybe I was like 12 or 13 or something like that. No, I was maybe like 15. I think my friend was maybe like 13 or 12 or 13 at the time or something. And there was a car. I grew up in the city, so there was a car speeding full ahead, like, and she was just in the middle of the road, just standing there. Now I realize she froze. She was in the state of fear because I literally had to like grab her out of the street. I was like, "Why you ain't move? Like, why you just standing there staring at the car?" But that's a fear response. And so I'm like, oh, okay, okay. So you see how we're taking the time to really learn and understand these things? This helps you become self aware. So now you can pay attention to yourself. And sometimes you can actually pay attention to other people so that way you can help them appropriately. All right. So, um, that's usually me ready to fight. Yep. I'm a freezer. I'm a freezer. I used to be a flight. I used to flight. I used to be like, pew, like, pew, like, yep, I would out quick in a hurry. Now I'm more freeze, but I'm working through that. I recognize that now, and I'm grateful that I recognize that, and I'm like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. Why am I frozen? And just taking that time to work through that because, yeah, okay. Fawning. That's the other thing. That's when you try to please um the other party involved. So that leads to people pleasing. So that way you can avoid conflict. So that's just that automated response of how can I make this situation better? You know, and that's not good. That's not good either. So as we're walking with the Father, we got to recognize: are we doing any of these? Are you doing any of these? All right. The foods we eat can play a role in our emotions and mental state as well. Like Red 40, alcohol, drugs, processed sugar. I'm not getting in depth on like the how, but these are things that you can look up yourself. I'm not saying I won't. Actually, I have some Instagram posts about like how alcohol affects the body and processed sugar. Some different things, but food plays a role. It plays a role. So when it comes to our self esteem, which is connected to confidence and our having that confidence and in who you are and knowing who you are, your self worth. Who are you in Yah? You know, knowing your worth and how you gain that, purifying your body, purifying your mind, purifying the emotions. Um, Yeah, and what does the Bible always talk about? Getting pure. I mean, getting purified, becoming pure and whole, sound minded. When you purify something, you gotta detox it of something else. You got to get rid of the impurities. So, what impurities are you carrying around? Which is those toxins. Stress is a toxin. It causes toxins. Well, it is a toxin. It causes toxins physically in your body. Because all of this stuff will manifest physically in your body, which is why you get stressed and you think you just have the mood, but you're holding it via tension. So it manifests in the body. I have this book called oh, ah, darn it, it'll come to me. It'll come to me. Um, but it talks about the different how the different emotions manifest in the body, and it uses a lot of scripture, like references, and it talks about how like the lack of forgiveness and how fear manifests into certain things. So people are walking around here with cancer, autoimmune disease, different mental illnesses from anxiety, depression, ADHD, um, like it's just so many things that we don't realize are connected to our emotions. So yeah. Um, so when you have low self-esteem looks like cheap stimulation. You know, it's that quick. You want that quick fix. Quick fix. Sound familiar? Addiction. Quick fix of food. Quick fix of a cigarette. Quick fix of a drug. Quick fix of a person. Cheap stimulation. Shallow excitement. Shameful addiction. Confidence and self worth looks like calmness, being calm. You notice that um, when you really start to be obedient and walk in the way that Yah calls you to, and you really start to submit to the process of being renewed in mind, body, and spirit, and going through your healing journey, it starts to slow you down. And the more you actually slow down, the more simple life gets. And the more simple life gets, the more calm you become. And I'm like, huh, that is so interesting. But confidence, self-worth, okay, looks like calm, looks like love, and emotional depth, meaning understanding our emotions, gaining insight into it. Because you have to gain that self-awareness about yourself to really know what you need and what is actually happening. And if you don't know where to start, ask Abba Yah. Take your questions to the Father. And also remember that He works through people. Obviously, we don't want to seek you don't want to seek man first on a matter. You want to seek him first because he is the answer. And then he will lead you to a book. He'll lead you to a song. He'll lead you to different people in your life um, to walk alongside of you, or that actually have what you need, because he works through people. So just remember that Yah can show up in different ways, because I think in our brain we always think that it's just going to be like some magical thing. It's just going to fall into our lap. Like, for example, for me learning, you know, when it comes to my identity and my self worth and my purpose and, just navigating my emotions, that involved a lot of community, like, and they house the Holy Spirit. And so it's like the love that I've learned and learned into, I mean, there was two sides to it. Learning to receive the love, that was a doozy. Um, but also now I can reciprocate that. But I know the love that they were giving me because seeing how Yah is with me, that's how they were with me. And now I can do that same for somebody else. So just think about that. Um and just remember that doing the work may not be easy, but it surely is worth it. It definitely is worth it. I did not expect this to be an hour long. I thought it was gonna be like 15 minutes. Clearly I lied to myself. Number 10, the last thing, nurturing relationships, which I was actually kind of talking about when it comes to community. Nurturing relationships mean many things. Like it depends on the relationships that are in your life. That can be friends, that can be family, it can be your body of Christ family, like your church community. It can even be your pet. Some people don't even got time for their pets. It can be your coworkers. Nurturing those relationships. Um, and even when it comes to relationships, because there are relationships that are not healthy for you, and they can be just as deadly as your diet, like just as deadly. They can actually lead to your spiritual death, or physical death. Toxic relationships, emotional imbalance, low self-esteem can really cause more issues to your body than all the other energy depleting things. And this is why it's so important. I know, like right now, it sounds like we're in this age of everyone's on a healing journey, everyone's going to therapy, and everyone's doing this, but it's needed. It's needed, and it's aware. There is a awareness of it now because everyone was living in survival mode, and Yah is like, I want you to thrive. Like, I want you to be healed. Are we willing to be healed? Do we want to be healed? Are we willing to submit to the process of healing? And what does that look like? It calls you to be vulnerable. It calls you to be intentional. Those two things. We can't, and it's the same thing when it comes to our relationship with Yah. It's the same thing when we're saying, you know what? I want to walk in the steps of Hamashiach. It's the same thing. It calls us to be vulnerable, very vulnerable. So we need to stop suppressing our emotions. That's the one thing. And learning how to work through them and not see them as the enemy, but Yah created them for a purpose. So we have to learn what that purpose is. And the other thing is we need to get out of the poisonous relationships, whether it's friends, family, whatever that looks like. Okay. And if we want good relationships, we got to nurture those. We got to put in the work. We really got to put in the work. Also, when it comes to that, navigating poisonous relationships, boundaries are okay. I'm not getting into boundaries, but setting boundaries are very important. That's a whole thing in itself. Setting boundaries, how to set boundaries, healthy boundaries with people. But so yeah, so let's create love in our life, not stress. Okay, that's what we want to do. That's what we want to do. So that is all, folks. I sit down here. Why I say that like massa? I cannot. Anyway, but yeah, I hope that was helpful. And any questions? I guess not. But yeah, thanks for joining. And tomorrow is day 13. It's Friday. It's Friday. My Friday is always chill. Just got to babysit tomorrow, which is cool. But anyway, I will holla at y'all mañana, and y'all have a great night. Have a good night.